Hey folks, it's Tom. I just want to go over this and put a good video out here on how to do this, because there's a lot of articles on the internet and they all miss critical pieces and parts, or just assume that you know something that you don't know. There's a lot of free PBX experts that know a whole bunch and they're just covering the little tiny pieces, and if you don't know all those tiny pieces, it's hard to put it all together. It took me about 2 weeks to put this all together. So what I have is a FreePBX server. It's running on Hyper-V on my workstation downstairs. This is just a test server, so I'm not going to try to hide any of the keys or anything. It's just a test server. It's going to go away. I don't run FreePBX at home normally, so it'll go away after this video is put up. So don't try to hack into me because you're not going to get in. Okay. But this is a FreePBX server that's running downstairs in my basement. I'm VNC'd into that, but we'll come here. Now, I wrote this document. I will link it down below with a step-by-step on how this whole process works. And so what we're going to do is build a VPN on a Yealink phone. And this allows you to get a remote phone connected over somebody. Somebody has to work from home and they need to connect to their wireless network at home with their Yealink phone, and they need to get into your phone system. But you're not comfortable necessarily mapping port 5060 and 5061 and UDP ports 10,000 through 20,000 into your server and leaving all that exposed to the internet for hackers. So what you want is a secure connection to bring up that phone. So let's go into it here. Well, I thought I already had this open, but maybe I don't. Hang on, let's see. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. So first of all, here at home, I'm running a TP-Link router. Every router I've ever tried this on works fine, except for Cisco ASAs. They kind of work sometimes, and then they won't allow the VPN to connect, and then they'll work for a while, and they won't. I have not been able to figure it out. So if you're using a Cisco ASA, good luck. But I have not made it work. I've made it work with all other kinds of routers. So this is a TP-Link VPN router that I have at home. And so we'll go here to my NAT transmissions. I'll have to log into it again. And so under my transmission NAT, you'll see my virtual servers that I have set up here. I have one SIP trunk server set up to be 1,000 to 20,000. This is for my outgoing SIP trunk. So I have to, on the TP-Link, I have to disable the SIP ALG. I went ahead and disabled H323 ALG because sometimes that uses some of the same ports. And it still didn't work. So then we have to do a virtual server, and we have to map ports 10,000 to 20,000. Now, if I go to my firewall, you'll see this is a really good idea from a security standpoint. It's not just to leave those ports wide open, but I have my SIP provider right here, SIP server 1 and SIP server 2. We're allowing just the traffic from SIP server 1 and SIP server 2 to come in on those SIP RTP ports to my FreePBX server. And then we are blocking all SIP ITP from any other group to any other group, right? So that way, just those two specific IPs that my SIP provider has are allowed to send traffic in here. So that's a really good idea if you run into this. But that's all to do with outbound trunks. That's nothing to do with the VPN, all right? So you do have to map port 1194, I believe. Let me look here. Transmission, NAT, and virtual servers. And you do have to map 1194. That's the default port that OpenVPN is going to use. You can set it to any other port number. That's a default one that's going to be UDP. So you only have to map that one port to your server to OpenVPN port 1194 UDP. And you could make that a strange port number for a little bit more security by obscurity, but I just did 1194. And it's coming to my internal server IP, which is this 220 address, right? And so we come here to our server, which is the 220. I guess I have two of these open. And so now we come down here and we look at our server. So what you're going to want to do is pay the $39 and get the System Admin Professional, because that includes the OpenVPN setup. It's $39 for a 25-year license. I'm sure there is a way you can manually install OpenVPN and make this all work. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but this is how I did it. So once you've activated your server and created your portal account and your password and all that, then you can go back and it'll give you the option under your system admin to buy the professional license. Now, you do that, you put in your credit card number, boom, you have a professional system admin license. And we'll go here to admin, system admin, and then we'll scroll down here on the side and we'll go to this VPN server down here at the bottom. And so you'll see, I'm surprised that's showing as connected still. I thought I deleted that. We'll delete this one again. And now that's gone. And we go settings here, the VPN is not enabled. Now by default, it's going to come up with this IP range 10.8.0.0 with a 24 subnet mask, 24-bit subnet mask. If you don't know anything about networking and subnet masks, just stick with this. You can change it to something else like 10.25 if your 10.8's in use, but stick with this and you'll be good. If you do know subnetting and you want to create a specific range for it, you can. This is going to be the other IP address range that exists on the FreePBX server for OpenVPN clients to get assigned. So, and then you say you have server port 1194, right? That's the port number. You can change that to any port number you want to. Your server remote address. This is my outside IP address. And you can set up dynamic DNS under here. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but yes, there is a dynamic DNS setup right here with System Admin Pro if you have a DHCP address, all right? And then redirect your gateway. This is what's known as split tunneling in the Cisco world, right? So if you redirect the gateway, that means all traffic from the phone, all traffic generated from that phone, whether it's NTP or going to TFTP servers or DNS servers, it's going to redirect that all through the VPN to get out to the internet. Nothing's going to hit the internet directly from the phone once you connect to the VPN. I always set this to yes just because it's a little bit more secure, but I have set it to no and it still works fine. So your VPN renegotiation timer, this is 3,600 seconds. I think that's a 1 hour maybe, but that just stays the same. And then so what you want to do is set this to enabled, yes. Your cert alert threshold is 28 days. It's going to alert that your cert's going to expire in 28 days. And you're going to say yes to auto renew the cert, because as long as the cert renews ahead of time, you don't have to change the certificate on every single phone. But if your cert expires and you have to get a new cert, then you're going to have to go to every phone that has a VPN and re-put in that certificate and re-upload that config file. So that's not necessarily fun. So I leave the auto renew on. By default, it's like 2 years, right? And we're just going to say yes to route this network, which is my inside network. We're going to leave that enabled, yes. We're going to submit, hit save and apply. And we'll have to give it some time there. There we go. Now we're going to go back to the settings tab. We're going to scroll down, and now we see another network, 10.8. I'll go ahead and enable routing on that as well so that I can do remote administration of VPN connected phones. This will allow me to get to the web address of those phones, which we'll set that up here later on their VPN IP address. So we'll submit this, and we'll save and apply it. And now we have to go and set up the user to have access to VPN. Okay, so now we've set all that up, and now we need to go to the user. So we want to go to user management. This phone system only has one user on it, right? And so this is me, right? And so now we're going to edit this user by clicking the edit button there. And we're going to scroll over to, well, first we're going to go here to the login details, and we're going to make sure we have a password set here. Okay, because you will need that password to be able to do stuff here later on. So now we'll go back in and edit it again because I submitted the password change. You can change everything at once. I usually click submit every time. And then we go to the VPN, and we want to auto create a link and hit submit there. And then we'll edit it one more time, and we'll come over here again, and we'll go to the UCP, and we'll allow login to the UCP. We won't enable touring mode. That takes you through this tour the first time you log in. You have to click all kinds of stuff. We don't need to do any of that. And we'll submit that, because we will have to log into UCP to get our VPN template files. Okay, so now we go back to System Admin, and we look here, and we go down here to VPN setup, VPN server, and oh, I have to hit apply config. Let me apply the configuration, and then I believe it will create a user here. And this is going to be the ID number that's here is the first account for the first user. And there's normally, it puts a description in there the first time you do it too. I mean, it takes a minute for my slow old server to, I only gave this like a gig of RAM, so it'll take a minute to apply the configuration. Okay, now let's refresh this and take another look. No, it did not. So settings here, clients. I think, let me go back to user management and make sure I did set it. And this might be because I already set this up once, that it did not recreate it. If I set it up and then I deleted it. VPN, yes. And yeah, that's fine. Auto create link. I think it automatically created it, but it saw there was one already there, so it didn't put the description in it. But normally, if we go to System Admin and down here to VPN, it will put something on here. But I know this is user ID 1, so we'll go ahead and put a description in here, 1407. 1407. There we go. And there's some other stuff here. Oh, we have to enable it. Yeah. So we'll let this apply. Okay. Okay. So we want to enable this. We're not using dynamic DNS. We do want to use the remote server address. And we'll leave this assigned address set to none, because then it will automatically assign one out of that 10.8.0 range. And we'll submit these changes. There we go. So now what we want to do is log into the UCP as this user, and this is going to be 1407. Log in, and we don't have any dashboards. We can close this. I don't want to remember the password. And then we come there, we click this little gear cog down here, and it'll come up here. There's an OpenVPN tab. We're going to download this configuration, and it's going to be client1.zip. Okay, and now we're going to tell it to keep this file. Then we're going to open it. Now we're going to open this client1.zip file, and we'll open it with that. And we'll take all these files here, we'll copy them, and I'll just make a folder on the desktop, and we'll call it new folder, and we'll call it 1407-VPN. Okay, now we're going to take and we're going to paste all those files into here. Now we're going to make a new file, and we're just going to start with a text document, and we're going to call this vpn.cnf, and we're going to delete all that. Okay, and we'll change the extension. Yes. Now I will put a link to this document down below, and what you do is go down through this document and you'll see where I have put this little section right here and put these lines in the file. We'll highlight those lines, maybe. Hang on. Oh, come on. And view it through Google, because Google will let you do that. And so we'll go here, open with Google Docs. Maybe it'll work. Okay, now we'll go scroll down here to that section. There we go. Now we'll copy this, and we'll go back here to our notepad. Well, if I can find where I had the notepad. I don't know. Let me go back here, double click this. All right, click paste there. So now it makes this whole thing. And this can be the remote, but I'm going to set this to FRUGAL prepper rocks. But you can set this to your outside IP as well. This domain name comes back to my outside IP just fine. And I don't have a static IP, but this domain name updates with my current IP all the time. And every 3 minutes it runs an update. But you can put your static outside IP there as well. Okay, so now we see these 3 dot sections down here, CA, cert, key. And so now we're just going to come back here and we're going to open the system admin CA with notepad. So we'll do an open with and more apps and notepad and open this. So now this key, you can copy it if you want, but this server won't be up much longer. It'll be down by the time this video goes up. So now we go back to our other one, and that's going to go in this section right here. We'll do a Control V, and you want to make sure there's no extra lines in here either. The extra lines are a problem. Now we're going to do our cert. And so we can close this, and go, well, we'll find it eventually. Hang on. I closed the wrong thing. Doggone it. I meant to close this, and I closed the wrong thing. So let me go and find my 1407 VPN folder. And now we want to open the sysadmin client 1 cert. And we'll open that. And this will be like client 2, client 3 for however many, whichever user you're working on. So they're numbered by user. And now we'll copy all this. and copy it, close that. Now we'll go down to the second set of three dots that we had and do a Control V. Put that in there and see how it inserted that extra enter. We'll backspace that out and we'll check at the beginning and make sure that's good. It is. And now we'll go down here. And now we want to do our client key. We want to open this with Notepad. If I can find my open with. Oh, there it is. Open with, more apps. And we'll do Notepad. And so now we're going to copy this key. We're going to copy that. We're going to put it in here. Right. And now we have our private key. So now we'll go ahead and close this file and save it. And we'll close this one. And now we have this VPN conf. Now we want to, I'm going to use 7-zip. If you have Windows 11, it'll make tar files by default. This will not. It'll only compress it to a zip file on Windows 10. So we'll just go here to add to archive. You can install 7-zip. It's a little free program. Just Google it. And we want to put it to a tar file. Oh, if I'll get it, tar file. There we go. And we'll say OK. And then it makes this vpn.tar. All right. So now we got to upload this into the phone. So now we're going to go back here. We're going to log into my phone, which is 192.168.1.127, I believe. Oh, I have to do an HTTPS on it. Oh, I did. There we go. Now we'll go ahead and log in here. And now we'll go to network. And this phone is already on the network. It has an account. It's registered, right? It can make and receive calls, right? It's already on the network and working. So you want to set that up locally first to make sure the phone's working, right? But then we'll go to advanced. We'll scroll down here to the bottom and we'll enable the VPN. Select OpenVPN. It does do L2TP, but it will not do IPsec over L2TP. So the L2TP is not an encrypted connection. So that's very dangerous. You want to do OpenVPN because then you get encryption. And now we'll go back to my desktop and well, I'll go here and here. Okay. We'll upload this file, this vpn.tar file. Baby. There we go. It uploaded. And then we'll hit save. And we'll apply these changes immediately. Now, my router supports NAT loopback. That means when you have an address mapped to the public IP, and you try to hit that address on that designated port number, instead of sending it out to the internet and making it go nowhere, it re-loops it back into the server that it's mapped to. Certain routers do not do this. Cisco's, Adtran's, there's a few different routers that won't do this. Most routers do it. So this means that I can have a LAN connection over my internal Wi-Fi. It will go and hit the router at that destination port. It'll resolve it. It'll hit it. It'll say, oh, that frugalprepper.rocks resolves to the 74. Whatever address. It'll hit that in the router. Say, oh, that's mapped inside. It'll redirect it back in. So it'll build a VPN tunnel of my internal network. But some routers won't do that. But this is nice though if it does loop back, because then you can just configure the VPN on the phone. It'll run VPN internally, but if you take it home and plug it in, it runs VPN externally, right? So there's no configuration change to make. Otherwise, what you're going to have to do is enable and disable the VPN. So if you come inside with a Cisco router that doesn't do loopback, then you'll have to disable the VPN when you're internal, but you can enable it when you're external. And I'll show you how that works here in a minute. But now the VPN's built, so now we'll go back up here and we'll do account register, and we'll see if we are re-registered with the VPN connection. We should be. Oh, we can't hit it on the VPN connection anymore because it built a VPN tunnel, so this IP address, the local IP, is not available anymore. So that's the other thing I want to cover. How do you administer a phone? So we'll refresh this and see if it's connected. And we see here it's connected. This is its client IP, right? So now we want to go to our TP-Link router, and I created a route. I have it disabled right now. I'm going to re-enable it. And so now I've created a route under transmission routing. This one right here, I'm going to enable this route. So now it says, oh, how do we get to network 10.8.0.0 with a 255 subnet mask or a 24-bit subnet mask? The next top is the IP address of my FreePBX server. So now I should be able to go back here and just put in that address, 10.8.0.2. And it should come up, hopefully. Sometimes you have to reboot the server to get this to work the first time. Sometimes you don't. Oh, yep, it works. So now we'll just, don't remember the password because it's a different IP address, but I'll put it back in there. And now we're connected. That phone is over a VPN IP address, right? And we are all set. And we should go here to account. Are we registered? Yes, we are. So that's how you can get to the web interface on a phone to manage it if it's connected by VPN. So it's at somebody's home, right? You just go in here and find their phone. You see what IP address it has, and then you type that into your browser, and you can bring it up and remotely manage it, right? So that's really handy as well. So if they need like a key changed or mapped or something, and you don't have Endpoint Manager, which I don't have Endpoint Manager, then you can just go in and hit the phone's web interface and program all those keys and do whatever you need to do with the phone by putting that route in your router. You could also open up an administrator command prompt and do a route add 10.8.0.0 masks 255.255.255.0 and space in the next IP address. And that would be the 220 of the server, and it would know how to route from your computer to that server for that network. But it's better just to put it in the router, and it works from everybody's computer then. And we're set, and we have a VPN tunnel that's built. So I will go get the phone now, and I will show you a connecting over my internal Wi-Fi and connecting over my iPhone's internet sharing personal hotspot thing and how it connects and works. Okay, so now we're booting up the phone here. I had to take it out of my room, bring it out here to the kitchen, but we'll let this boot up. See, it's booting up. Now it's going to connect to my wireless, get an IP address. Boom, it got an IP address. Now it's going to do this config updating because I haven't disabled this in the setup. We'll let it do that. It'll time out here in a minute. Like I said, I don't have an Endpoint Manager set up. I didn't buy that license. But Endpoint Manager can control all your buttons and stuff too. But now we see it came up. There's a V right there. That means the VPN is connected. So we want to see if we hit enter button there, we'll see the IP address. Oh, this is actually connected on my Verizon phone right now. Okay. That's not my internal, that's my iPhone's address. And then we got a VPN IP address 10.8.0.2, and we say back. Now we can go to the menu, and we can go down here to basic, and we can go to Wi-Fi, and we can go here. This is connected to my iPhone, right? So we'll go down here, no network. I still have, this is my internal network, Blue 2600. I'll hit enter on that, and we'll connect to it. And now we'll go back. No service, it's building the VPN. Give it a second here, it'll come up, hopefully. Really? Sometimes this happens and you can reboot, or you can actually go to menu, go to advanced, and go put in your password. And then you can go network, go VPN, disable this, save that, and then we'll go VPN, enable it, save it, and then it'll connect. Maybe? Yeah, there it goes. So sometimes you just have to reboot when you change networks like that. Not every time. Sometimes it'll automatically reconnect. I think it times out after 160 seconds or something and tries to reconnect. But you can just disable it. So, okay, so that's how that works. You can see that it works here over the Wi-Fi.
Comedian mail. Mailbox. Password.
Right, so that works. You can, I'll connect it back to my iPhone. Just give me a minute to shut down the camera and reconnect it, and I'll be back. All right, you can see I've connected to my iPhone again. We'll go back. We'll see if we have to disable the VPN again. We might have to. Like I said, that times out relatively shortly, but we'll go here and we'll just disable the VPN and enable it again for time's sake. We'll disable it, save that, and then we'll enable it, save it. I believe that's 160 second, like a 180 3-minute timeout, I believe. We'll let it connect again, hopefully. There we go. And now I'm connected over my cell phone, and now I'll say start on 8. We'll see. There we
Comedian mail. Mailbox.
So that works. Connected over my iPhone to Verizon. While I'm recording a video, it's connected over my iPhone out to Verizon, back in through my router, downstairs in my basement to my FreePBX server that's running on my gaming PC under Hyper-V. Right, it makes that connection. So that's pretty nifty if you have a lot of remote users and you need them to be able to connect, or we have another COVID type thing where you need a bunch of people to be able to work from home. This is ideal. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.